Hi, everyone. It's Coach Mo Fall here for one of my most dear and enduring topics, breast cancer. As we're wrapping up this month of October, breast cancer awareness is not only heavy on my heart, but it's also at the top of my gratitudes. I'll share my journey through breast cancer, and I'll share the deep learnings, and I'll also share with you today the things that I want you to know to be true are about life's hardships. These are the things that we coach our clients through every single day, every single week. One thing to be true and known about life: when you're in the arena of life, you're going to get punched. And there's so many cliches on that, and there's so many ways that we can navigate this in a way that is in our highest life-affirming, life-force, thriving way. Or we can respond with desperation and depression and depletion and victimhood and feeling sorry for ourselves. I want to tell you this. When I was struck with breast cancer, when it was first told to me over the phone 15 years ago, those moments were the darkest, most confusing and overwhelming moments I've ever had in my life. I was training for the Marine Corps Marathon that year with my younger sister, who had just lost 100 pounds through diet and exercise. It was her claim that she had brought herself back to a thriving life. It was her first marathon ever, and she was a new woman. Here we are at the end of our training, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer, the words no one wants to hear. Much less, I had lesions in both breasts. When I told my sister that I was diagnosed with breast cancer and I wasn't sure about the marathon, we both sobbed uncontrollably. You know, the interesting thing is we were just in the newspaper several months earlier with a story about how two sisters were training for a marathon together and both claiming their level of health and fitness. And here I was, less than a month to go for the marathon, being newly diagnosed as breast cancer, being in the best shape of my life. I was devastated. My sister's dreams and excitement about being appreciated and recognized for her health conquest seemed a little bit to pale in comparison. And I felt really bad that it took the spotlight off of her awesome accomplishment. And my family now went from being sad and worried about me from being excited for my little sister. Over that next few weeks, as we were making the final preparations for the marathon, I decided and told my doctors that I was going to run the marathon with my sister, and we would have to schedule the double mastectomy after the marathon. They told me because we caught it in stage 1, we think, although the lymph node biopsy was going to happen at the surgery, they thought it was okay for us to wait a few more weeks in order for me to have that experience with my sister and finish off a long-time goal. I was a little bit nervous if that was okay, if the cancer wasn't going to spread or get worse in those times. So I sort of bit my upper lip, leaned into faith in hope that that wasn't going to make my cancer worse by waiting those several weeks. We ran the marathon. We celebrated with family and friends in the DC area. We triumphed, both of us. My sister with her 100-pound weight loss, and me with my breast cancer facing a double mastectomy 10 days later. We triumphed and ran across that finish line, holding hands and celebrating our own personal accomplishments and personal triumphs. It was not exactly what I had expected when we began training 6 months earlier. But I knew that if I looked down that barrel of breast cancer as a victim and as someone who was too scared to endure, that it would just make my journey that more difficult. I suppose I can be happy that I am or was a marathon runner because I know what endurance looks like. I know what it's like to be disciplined and get up every morning even when you don't want to to go for a run because I've got a bigger goal at hand rather than a Tuesday where I feel a little bit groggy and sleepy and is this run going to hurt or feel good? Most of the time, even passing that threshold at my front door to go for my morning runs in the dark of the early morning, even if I didn't feel up to it, I knew when I came back home I was going to feel awesome. On many of those mornings, my sister, who lived about 3 miles away from me, she and I would meet sort of halfway from our homes and then run several more miles and then return home to do our separate work and take care of our day. Those early mornings were so precious to the both of us. But as my breast cancer diagnosis came into play, our conversations on those morning runs changed, as did our weekend long runs when we were with each other for 3 and 4 hours training those final few long runs. I'll never forget flying to Washington, D.C. with her, holding hands and hoping for the best. That was 15 years ago. I came through clean as a whistle. My lymph nodes were negative. I did have a double mastectomy. It was very radical surgery. It took me weeks and months to recover and survive. I had some additional complications because I had just run a marathon, so my blood cell counts weren't as high and I didn't bounce back from surgery as fast as was predicted for the shape I was in. But you know, when you run a marathon, you sort of max out what your body's got going on. I will say this: that experience has made me who I am today. And going through breast cancer, not only in the acute moments with my sister and the marathon and my family and the surgery and how awesome the surgeons were, but I will tell you this: going through that experience, and by the way, I had just landed my dream job about 2 months prior to my diagnosis. So I was just getting into the jive of my new job, and then I had to tell my boss that I would be out for 4 to 6 weeks with this diagnosis, and I was hoping that it wouldn't be a problem, and I was praying that I wouldn't disrupt the whole thing. Everything in those few months felt scary, uncertain. I felt like I was overwhelmed all the time. And I leaned into my coworkers, my boss, my sister, my family, my partner, all of my family in the Washington, D.C. area, which is one of the reasons why we chose the Marine Corps Marathon. And I leaned in a bigger way than I've ever leaned in to other people in my life. My mother came and stayed with me for a couple of weeks in my early weeks from surgery. I could hardly walk. It was full of drains. It was full of scars, full of all sorts of things. It was a messy situation. I'll forever be grateful for everyone who helped me on that journey. Coworkers who stopped by in the hospital while I was there, who checked in on me while I was convalescing at home, and who were gracious enough to meet with me a week before I went back to work to update me on everything that was going on, even though I could hardly stay focused and pay attention. My body was going through a massive recovery. I tell you all of this to say that sometimes life throws us these dark nights. Sometimes life throws us things that are bigger than we think we can handle. And it's only through the grace of other people that we get through them. Over the years that I've survived my breast cancer, I've held the hand of many other women who have had the same diagnosis, and there's a few of them who didn't survive more than a year or two. One woman in particular was a wife of one of my coworkers. He helped me and supported me in the ways that he could as a coworker while I was going through my diagnosis, and then he asked me to give support to his wife. She didn't make it. She didn't have the same trajectory, and they didn't catch it as early for her. Of course, I felt guilty and sorrowful that I couldn't help her more, and that she was on the path toward a fatal diagnosis and a fatal ending, which later she did have. Her funeral was one of the most saddest times I've ever had. Transformation always lies at the feet of a disease, a disaster, a disruption, sometimes a divorce. And I will tell you this, as a executive woman at the time, with a steely disposition, a marathon running endurance, I got anything that's thrown at me type of personality. It wasn't even that easy for me, and I'm tough. I know what it's been like for many women to face disasters and diseases, disruptions, and I've coached over 2,000 women through disaster, disruption, disease. Many women who I've coached in our workshop have actually been through, and some were even going through their chemo and radiation treatment for not only breast cancer, but even several other cancers as well. One of our clients had 2 strokes before she finally got the career help and the expertise. One of the things I'm happiest about is that the breast cancer journey that I had took me deep into my soul. And it was the depths that experience took me to that I was able to find the inner crevices of the places of my authenticity that I had ignored, that I had left behind, that I had pushed aside because they weren't convenient in the workplace. I was told not to be a certain way this way. I was told not to be a certain way that way. I was told all of these things are not to be. And I listened and I morphed myself into the type of person I thought I was supposed to be. Perhaps you can relate. I know so many women who have contorted themselves to their external environment and to the supposed tos and the shoulds. And we wake up at 45, 46, 47, 48, 59, 50, 51, 52, 53, you name it. Somewhere in midlife, that final punch takes us down to the mat and we're like, holy crap. I've had dozens of women who have quit their jobs under such personal, emotional, and soul-depleting distress that they thought for certain that they weren't going to be able to be successful at that level. And then when we lift their souls up and we point them in the direction of their awesomeness, their authenticity, and get them fully aligned with their power and their accomplishments, their education, their expertise, and their experience, they soar at a level even beyond that. But you know what? As women, we weren't taught how to navigate the workplace. We weren't taught how to stand up for our own. We weren't taught how to make it ours. We were taught to cave in and cater to others. And as women in the professional world, this is not a strategy that works. It is a strategy that will take us to our knees. If you have been raised like most women, like me and at least 2,000 others who I've coached, and I know even thousands and thousands of more who I've spoken to on our complimentary career clarity call. By the way, if you're ready to dive into your career, it's mofall.com/talk. That complimentary career clarity call, I've had such deep, meaningful conversations with other professional women. My team has had thousands and thousands more conversations. It is only through that conversation, it is only through that deep dive of understanding what you as a professional woman are experiencing and have been through and why your career is not thriving. I have heard so many horror stories of toxic environments, toxic bosses, being yelled at. One of our grads actually in our grad group who graduated from our workshop 3 years ago, who's in a nice consulting job, just got emotionally berated and verbally abused in a Zoom call yesterday. The good news is she's in an environment and she's in a continual process of having resources and coaches. And I'm going to get on that alumni coaching call that we have every month, and I'm going to help her sort through that. I'm going to help some of our women who have lost their jobs over the last several months, who haven't been able to quite get back even after we helped them years ago. I'm going to help them lean back into the tools. I'm going to help them lean back into their soul. I'm going to remind them who they are. Because the external world can be an unfriendly place sometimes. And when we're thriving and striving and want to make everything happen, we can sometimes fall into the same traps. I know that my breast cancer journey was a profound and deeply moving journey for myself. I know that every woman who we've coached in our 12-week kick-ass workshop has had a profound and deeply moving experience getting to know herself at a deeper level. And many of those women are in job trauma, toxic work environments, or suffering job loss. They've hit it down low. They've seen the lowest rungs of who they are. And the great thing about them is that they have brought experts to the table to help them. Their life and their career is worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the rest of their life. It's a tragedy when you hit tragedy and don't do something to come back stronger. My breast cancer was 15 years ago. I hired my first coach 23 years ago. If I didn't have coaching, if I didn't have a personal development strength, tools, and techniques, I wouldn't have navigated my breast cancer as successfully as I did. I wouldn't have known how to lean into the support. I wouldn't have known how to follow my inner guidance of what I needed and to be asked to ask for what I needed. I would have been in a scare overwhelm, and I would have isolated myself into my own pain and suffering. That's what we humans do. When we are under threat, when we are scared and overwhelmed, we retreat into a smaller and smaller existence. So many women we talk to on our complimentary career clarity calls have been burnt out for years. I have a woman right now in our workshop who is a builder of a big, huge firm from employee 3 to over 100 over 18 years. She worked hard. She wanted to be like one of the boys who were the two owners of this firm, and she burnt herself out. She moved through her marriage, depleted that. She now is coming back. She's in week 3 of our 12-week workshop, and she said to me the other night, I didn't realize how low I was on myself. I was just working and hustling to pay the bills, to keep my job, to make it happen. I thought that's how I had to do it. And you know what? She admitted that she followed the bro culture of the 2 male owners of her company to help them grow the company. She wasn't compensated the way that would have been fair for someone who helped grow a company. She kept on hustling to do good work because she cared about her clients, she cared about her team members, and she never clicked in on caring as much about herself. And when we're depleted, when we're burnt out, there's no way we can find that inner compass. There's no way. But if you have the tools and the techniques to bring your soul into the equation, to bring that inner guidance system, your divine senses, your divine alignment, your divine guidance system, that's what gets you through all hardship. That's what gets you through any disruption in your life. I've been a spiritual and deeply, deeply motivated human being for all of my life. I've hit roadblocks, obstacles, brick walls, glass ceilings, toxic bosses, sexual harassment, belittling in meetings, trash talked, negativity, gossiped about. I've been through it all. My strength came when I moved through my breast cancer diagnosis and found the inner crevices inside of me where my true power was hiding all along. Sort of like that line in The Wizard of Oz where the good fairy says to Dorothy, "You've had it in you all along." I didn't know that. I thought I had to discard it. I thought I had to dismember myself and only use the parts that other people approved of or allowed me to be. And after 20 years in the workplace, I had carved that out to be such a contorted version of me that I was no longer thriving. It took a disease of my breasts to get my attention. And now I have to tell you, I have scars all over my body from my breast cancer surgery. I have reminders of what I've been through. I had to get one of the scars redone last year. It will be a constant reminder to me what I've been through. And I'll have to have attention to some of those scars from time to time. But if I go into my victim mode on it, my life is going downhill. If I stay powerful and triumphant, if I stay in my soul's truth and power, if I stay on purpose, if I keep my daily practice of connecting to my divinity strong and powerful, if I work with purpose, not work to burn myself out, I will have gotten on the path, because disease and disaster gets us off path. But in one awesome way, it literally can focus us back on the path that we're meant to be on. I don't know many people who go through these types of events without expertise and support. And your loved ones may have gotten you through tragedy just like mine, but none of them could have gotten my career back on track the way I was able to with the expert help of the coaches I had then. But the missing link for me was internal and my soul. And I've since been able to create a special formula to help every woman who's been in our workshop to find their soul, to find their true power, to find those aspects of who they are, to be the most powerful measure of who they are in life and how they must be in life to satisfy their soul's journey and their fulfillment. This is what I got out of my breast cancer journey. I hope that you listening to this now will know that your journey is not done until you take your last breath, that the disruption and the disease and the disasters in your life are meant to be for your greater good. And it certainly doesn't seem like that when it happens. It certainly is overwhelming. Disaster, mayhem, overwhelm. All of this can feel like life as you know it is ending. And for sure, it does feel that way for a little while. If this is resonating with you, if you feel like you've lost your soul along the way, I'm going to encourage you to have a deep and meaningful complimentary career clarity call with my team. My career breakthrough strategists are heart-based, heartfelt women who have the power and the purpose to help you find out what's not going in the right direction for you and whether we can help you. If you have an educational experience and expertise base that you know you're not where you ought to be, we may very certainly be able to help you. If you're a professional woman who doesn't know how to get to what's next, you feel stuck, or you feel like maybe you've been in your company for so long that you don't even know if there's an opportunity for you out there, I want to encourage you to book that call, because if we can help you, the help that we're going to be able to get you in the way that we will lift your soul up and your career up will be so life-changing. And I say that after 2,000 plus women. I say that after watching hundreds and hundreds of women over multiple years continue to use the strategies and the tools that they had years ago to build a life that is beautiful and gorgeous and well-lived and better paid and more freedom and greater experiences. Kelly, one of our attorneys, one of our clients who's an attorney, we helped her navigate her way through a better situation at her law firm, which brought her several $100,000 more per year and a greater sense of contribution, recognition, and parity at her law firm. She always felt a little shy about liking fancy things and wanting to go on nice trips. We helped her get really, really right with that. And just last month, she had the dream trip of her lifetime that has been on her heart for decades. She did a beautiful bicycle ride with her partner and friends all the way through Croatia and the coast. She celebrated it in our grad group. She proudly talked about how she got herself into that situation to be able to live her dreams, because when she couldn't navigate her career, when she couldn't get to where she knew she should be getting to, when she couldn't do that on her own, rather than be stubborn and stuck, she said, I'm going to hire an expert to get me there. And that's what we did with her. I could rattle off hundreds and thousands of examples. I could tell you over and over again how my formula helped me, and then I was praying it would help others, and it has helped others. The formula I use to help you bring your soul back to life, to help you bring your soul to work and craft a career path that makes the most out of what you bring to the table is really nothing short of a miracle. And it's because I went through my journey intentionally and successfully. I went through my journey praying for something better and greater to be happening because of it. And I remember sitting in one of my chairs in my family room about a week after I came home, which would have been 2 weeks after my surgery. And I was looking out my patio at the blue sky on a November afternoon. I couldn't move that well at home. I had drains still coming out of my body. And I remember looking up at that blue sky and praying to God that this isn't all just for nothing. That I would emerge from this as a bigger, stronger person. And if I could just visualize something better for myself, then it would have all been worth it. I had no idea what was in store for me, but I did go back to work more purpose-driven and feeling better about myself as a complete human being. And now that's what we do with every woman we work with. This is an important time of the year for me to recognize my journey and to celebrate what I've been through. But more importantly, it's the time of the year that I celebrate that having gone through my breast cancer journey successfully has been the gift that has allowed me to help navigate other professional women through their hardships, through their depletions, through their job losses, through their confusion and overwhelm, through their depletion. I have a unique perspective on it because of my breast cancer journey. And I care at the depths of my soul for every woman who's having a hardship right now, who doesn't understand why work has to be so hard, who doesn't understand why she's become contorted into a figure of herself who isn't even true and right anymore, and how she keeps getting into toxic environments and underpaid and underappreciated and mistreated. I know your pain, and I'm going to say to you, the answer is your soul. Book a complimentary career clarity call with my team. mofall.com/talk. It will be the beginning of a great journey for you. We know exactly how to help you. And listen, if your problem isn't something that we can solve for you, we'll point you in another direction. We'll help you find another coach, or perhaps there's something else that you must do. And I'll tell you this, if you have greater than 10 years of experience in your career, and you have the education, expertise, and experience, it is not another degree or certification. It is your soul that is missing. And that is the most profound aspect of success that I can share with you. I want to help you get your soul back. I want to help you get you back. I want to help you get back the woman who you once were, but even better at this age. I want to help you get back the woman who your family and partner misses. I want to help you get back that version of you. I do have a proven formula for it. I do have my own war wounds to prove it. And I do have over 2,000 women who went through my proven formula, who have resurrected their soul and their life and their career, and they're living their best life right now. I want that for every woman on the planet. Why? Because women need to understand and have a better relationship with work and their power. We're not there yet, ladies. Look inside of you. If this message resonates, please book your complimentary career clarity call for the sake of your future self, your family, and your financial happiness and your soul, most importantly. I'm Mo Fall. You can catch me at mofall.com. You can book your complimentary clarity call at mofall.com/talk. And we're looking forward to diving into your soul and your truth to see if we can help you. And get your mammogram. I'm here today because I got my mammogram and we caught my cancer early. Make sure you are doing the right things for your health, for your future, and for the lovely people who love you. This is Coach Mo Fall, mofall.com/talk. We'll see you next time.